Meneer die kanselier, ek het die eer om aan u voor te stel Lionel Henry Opie met die versoek om aan hom die graad dokter in die natuurwetenskappe honoris causa te verleen. Die raad en die senaat het op grond van die volgende oorwegings besluit om aan hom hierdie graad te verleen. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Lionel Opie is recognized as one of the world's greatest heart researchers and a very reputable author of scientific books. He is Professor Emeritus of the University of Cape Town and as founder member of the Medical Research Council Cape Heart Center, he still plays a leading role in medical research. He also holds the position of Honorary Professor of Internal Medicine at the University College in London. In 1955, Professor Opie obtained the degree MB-CHB cum laude from the University of Cape Town and received the medal as the best student. Between 1959 and 1994, he was awarded 3 doctorates and received an honorary doctorate in medicine from the University of Copenhagen, Denmark in 1991. Meneer die kanselier, dames en heren, meneer Opie het sy kliniese opleiding in Kaapstad, die VSA en Engeland voltooi en verder is hy die houer van talle nagraadse diplomas soos onder meer the Fellow of the Royal College of Physicians, Fellow of the American College of Cardiology and Fellow of the College of Physicians of South Africa. Hy was besoekende professor by talle buitelandse universiteite. Sy belangstelling in navorsing het reeds tydens sy opleiding as mediese student na vore getree en in sy finale jaar is sy eerste wetenskaplike artikel in die internasionale tydskrif Diseases of the Chest gepubliseer. Professor Opie was tussen 1962 en 1964 as consultant in die departement interne geneeskunde aan die Universiteit Stellenbosch verbonde, waar hy die grondslag help lê het van 'n hartnavorsingsgroep wat steeds bestaan. Daarna het hy in die buiteland navorsing gedoen onder die leiding van onder andere 2 Nobelpryswenners. Terug in Suid-Afrika is hy aangestel as direkteur van die Mediese Navorsingsraad, se navorsingseenheid vir iskemiese hartsiektes aan die Universiteit van Kaapstad. 'n Posisie wat hy 22 jaar lank beklee het en nog later as direkteur van Kardiovaskulêre Instituut aan daardie universiteit. Professor Opie has a formidable research record. He's published 46 books and monographs, 159 chapters in books, and 539 articles in scientific peer-reviewed journals. He's an A1-rated scientist of the National Research Foundation. Among his many awards are the Order of Mapungubwe, Silver, which Professor Opie received for his outstanding contribution to research and knowledge on cardiology, as well as the Lorenzini Gold Medal of the International Society for Heart Research, the Wellcome Gold Medal for research of specific importance to South Africa, and the Silver Medal of the Medical Research Council, and also a medal from the President of the South African Heart Association. Mr. Chancellor, I request that you confer on Lionel Henry Opie the degree Doctor of Science, honoris causa, for his contributions as internationally acclaimed cardiologist, his formidable and virtually unequaled research output, for his pioneering work on the energy metabolism of the heart, and for his exceptional talent as author and lecturer to translate complex scientific processes into comprehensible concepts.
Just said to me, "Nou's ek ook 'n maatie."
Meneer die kanselier, meneer direkteur, eregraduandi, die ander graduandi, dames en heren. Lionel Opie en ek ken mekaar al 48 jaar. En u het nou by die gradeplegtigheid die geleentheid gehad om te hoor wat hy alles in sy professionele lewe vermag het. En ek het gedink dat dit sou miskien goed wees om so 'n bietjie te praat oor die man agter die wetenskaplike en 'n bietjie te kyk na die eienskappe wat van hom so uitsonderlike navorser gemaak het. Nou soos ek sê, ons ken mekaar 48 jaar. Ons het ontmoet toe ek van Amerika af teruggekom het met 3/4 van 'n doktorsgraad onder my arm en baie dringend op soek na werk. En ons het 'n onderhoud gehad in die opslaangeboue agter die Karel Bremer Hospitaal. Dit was waar die fakulteit van geneeskunde daardie tyd was. En dit was in die laboratorium wat hy saam met professor Andries Brink help stig het, soveel jare gelede. En hy het baie aandagtig en beleefd na my geluister, want ek moes onder andere bieg dat ek ietsie van die lewer weet, maar baie min van die hart, of liewer niks van die hart nie. En nadat hy na my geluister het, toe sê hy in sy mooie Oxford Engels, "Fancy meeting a person who doesn't know anything about the heart." Nou ja, ek het gedog, nou, so diskwalifikasie sal die man my nooit werk gee nie. Maar, lo and behold, hy het vir my werk gegee, en toe het ek die voorreg gehad om vir meer as 'n jaar saam met hom te werk. En ek moes nie alleen vinnig leer nie, om alles van die hart te weet nie, wat natuurlik onmoontlik was, maar ek het ook waardevolle lewenslesse geleer. En wat my hele professionele loopbaan bygebly het, en ek wil net so 'n paar daarvan uitlig. Ek was geweldig beïndruk deur die wyse waarop jy gefokus het op jou werk en hoe toegewyd jy was. En hoe dat jy vanaf die beplanningsfase, deur die protokol, deur die eksperimente, uiteindelik die artikel geskryf het. En so baie van ons faal langs die pad, ons verloor stoom langs die pad. En dan was ek ook geweldig beïndruk deur jou hardwerkendheid. Van 's oggends vroeg tot 's aans laat. En Lionel het hom nie opgehou met onbenullighede nie. Inderdaad, tydmors was gereken as 'n sonde. En die ander ding wat my altyd sal bybly is die manier wat jy met jou data omgegaan het. En hoe sorgvuldig jy daarna gekyk het. En hoe absoluut eerlik jy was in die interpretasie daarvan. En uiteindelik met die opskryf van die data is elke woord geweeg. Hy is heroorweeg, hy is blink gepoets. En dan uiteindelik was dit goed genoeg om voorgelê te word vir publikasie. Lionel het baie hoë eise aan homself gestel. En ook aan die wat saam met hom gewerk het. Dit was baie subtiel, ander kere minder subtiel. Ek herinner my 'n keer wat hy vir een van ons minder flikse medewerkers gesê het, "Oh chap, getting data out of you is like flogging a dead horse." En 'n ander juweeltjie wat my altyd sal bybly is daar wanneer dinge nie uitwerk soos wat dit moet uitwerk nie. Toe het Lionel eendag gesê, "Nothing surprises me anymore. One week you get one set of data, and the next week you get completely the opposite data." En dikwels as 'n mens so swaar kry en niks wat reg werk nie, dan dink ek altyd daaraan dat dit met ander ook gebeur. As 'n persoon wil ek 'n paar kenmerke noem wat vir my ook baie beïndruk het. Die een was dat Lionel het dikwels of altyd op 'n baie onbaatsigtige wyse erkenning gegee aan die mense wat saam met hom werk. Dit geld veral vir ons wat vir wie hy geleenthede geskep het. wat ons andersins nooit na ons kant toe sou gekom het nie, en daarvoor sê ek vir jou baie dankie. En ek dink, Pieter Klaasen is vandag hierso, wat hy het vir Lionel deur al die jare gehelp met sy literatuurnavorsing, en dan is daar vandag 'n nuwe lid, Sandrine, I'm sorry that you won't be able to understand the word, but I'll translate. Sandrine is van die nuwe toevoegings tot ons laboratorium, tot sy laboratorium, en dan ook vir myself het jy geleenthede geskep wat ek andersins nie sou gehad het nie, en baie dankie daarvoor. En nog iets wat ek sal onthou is, as dinge nie reg uitwerk nie, en 'n mens se artikel word nie sommer voetstoots aanvaar nie, dan jy altyd moet ingepraat. En Cecile Miller, een van ons vorige medewerkers, het dikwels gesê, Lionel het maar 'n ou klein hartjie, en dit is inderdaad so. Dan ten slotte, dink ek, kan ek nie nalat om te noem die fenomenale boek Physiology of the Heart. In ons laboratorium het ons daarvan gepraat as die Bybel. En ek dink die rede daarvoor is dat dit daagliks geraadpleeg is. En toe jy besig was met die derde uitgawe se herskrywe, toe het jy die opmerking gemaak dat jy wens dinge wil net so bietjie stil staan dat jy kan bykom. En nou ja, dit het toe nie gebeur nie. En die kennisontploffing met die internet en al die dinge wat daarmee gepaard gegaan het, het natuurlik dinge ook nie makliker gemaak nie. Maar ek kan met absolute oortuiging sê dat jy bygebly het, jy het voorgekom en jy is nog steeds voor, soos wat blyk uit jou werk tot op hede. Dames en here, ek vra vir u om 'n glasie te klink op Professor Lionel Opie, een van ons land se merkwaardigste navorsers.
Well, look, I've obviously got an impossible task. You've had absolutely excellent talks. Everyone seeming better than the previous one. So if I'm wandering a bit, you have to forgive me. But first of all, I have to say that it's a great honor for me to be here today. Now, I want to tell you for how many years I've almost been 'n martie. It's amper 'n martie. Maar vandag, soos ek vir die kanselier gesê het, vandag is ek 'n martie. So that's a great day for me. I'd like to do two things. I'd like to briefly give you a more realistic account of what Amanda told you. And then I'd briefly like to end with what I expect you expect me to say, and to give you all a very short take-home, healthy heart message, to which you don't have to pay any attention. So I'd like to comment that now, Amanda said we've known each other for 48 years, so I'm not so good in maths, so I thought 50 years. It sounds much better, doesn't it? The story is not quite the way she put it now. I was working in this, as she said, wooden hut. The English call it a Nissen hut. It just, you know, we didn't have a proper lab. I was working with two male technicians, and Andries Brink, who's the professor of medicine now, he was fantastic. And although he had the job of looking after patients, of running a department, and dealing with Stellenbosch main campus and all those problems, every Tuesday he came to the laboratory, okay? So we were actually a four-man team. And, it was a bit boring. So one day, as I was walking towards this Nissen hut, I saw this lady. And So later I went to Andries and I said, now who's that? So he said, oh yes, she's looking for a job. So I said, well, why are you hesitating? Just take her. So that's how we started our interaction. And if I could just use the rough word, but for Andries Brink it was actually 50 years. And as you know, he died earlier this year. And the funny thing is that I had dinner with him only this year in July. So it really was an absolute 50 years of very close acquaintance with this remarkable man. And that's why I say that I was almost a martyr all those years. So to give you an idea of how remarkable he was, I was quite adventurous in those days, and I wanted to climb Kilimanjaro. And in those days, there was a lot more snow and ice than there is now, you see. Because I know my son-in-law's done it, but that was perhaps more of a challenge then. So I said, well, look, I'd like to go, but, you know, I don't think I've got the equipment. So I said, hang on, I've got a rucksack I can lend you. So he lent me the rucksack. Now, that was a generous act, but he actually took over my heart perfusions. He stood there at the desk, and Amanda will remember that. He stood there actually perfusing the rat hearts and getting the data because, as she said, I was very sort of impatient, and we had to get the data done for the article, and the only way of getting it done when I wasn't there was for somebody else to do it. So that's what happened. Then, having been there for a short time, I had the opportunity of going to work with Sir Hans Krebs, who's a biochemist of the Krebs cycle you all know about. And when I was there, you see, I still had this idea, we've got to get the papers out, got to get the papers out. And Amanda and I, in my rush to get away, hadn't actually finished the paper. I don't know if you remember this, Amanda. And you came to Oxford, and I was proudly showing her around, you know, wonderful Oxford, and said, nee, Lionel, nee. Kyk, hierdie plek is te grys en te oud en te koud. So, anyhow, then afterwards I went to London. I had a South African-orientated social life. I met my wife, Carol, and I should just mention that in all of this, I've been subject to the most wonderful support throughout my married life. I just could not have asked for anything better. Thank you, Carol. So we decided to come back to South Africa. But now, was it going to be Stellenbosch? Was I going to become an ampermati again? Or would it be Cape Town? That was settled for us because in 1969, Chris Barnard did the heart transplant. And although some people have doubts on everything he's done, but the fact is that he did, this was an absolutely, as they say in Afrikaans, that lovely word, baanbreker, absolute baanbreker occasion. And he wrote this book, One Life. He made a lot of profit from it. He put it into the Chris Barnard Funds. The Chris Barnard Funds funded me for 5 years. And you know, the wonderful thing was, nobody asked me for a report. Chris never asked me to do any work for him. He just said, do good work. And we did good work, and we didn't have to waste all this time you have to waste now saying why you want to do it and then explaining why you didn't do it. So we got 2 papers in Nature, which was quite an achievement in those days. And so Chris invited me to come to Cape Town. That's how I landed there and not back at Stellenbosch. But I hadn't lost contact with Andries, because he became president of the Medical Research Council, who funded me for 22 years. And the Medical Research Council, again, was fantastic as a source of support. And again, we couldn't have done what we did without them. So it's been a long 50-year interaction with Andries and 48 with Amanda. And all the time, for over these many years, we've continued to collaborate. We've continued to hold meetings together. She might have been at Stellenbosch, I might have been in Cape Town. And that's been absolutely wonderful, and she's been absolutely very supportive, for which I really thank her. And I've got a lot to owe to Amanda. Now, in case you feel, well, now he's a heart man and he hasn't given a health message, so I'll just spend the last few minutes giving you a short one. Now, if you take, now you see, America's, although it's got many defects, it's got some wonderful records. And one of the records they have are on health professionals. And they've studied the ins and outs and the health habits and the blood pressures and the cholesterols and all those things of roughly 100,000 health professionals for over 20 years. So they can tell you exactly what this does to that. Now, to make it very simple, the greatest health act that you can do for yourself, you're probably doing that already, and that is non-smoking. Now, that accounts for more than half of what you can do. Now, the next thing you can do is to exercise at least 30 minutes every day. That's the next thing you can do, and a relatively easy thing. And you don't have to be a marathon runner or mountain climber. There's some studies now coming from Copenhagen where they find out that people who jog less intensively get even more benefit than those who do jog intensively. And one of the reasons might be that it's actually more psychologically satisfying to jog through those lovely forests outside Copenhagen. So only then comes the issue of diet. You see, now one hears a lot about diet nowadays, and this, and somebody says this, and somebody else contradicts that, and so on, but that only comes in there. And if you're doing all the other things, well, actually, does it really matter what you eat? The big issue is not to be gaining weight. And then I tell my patients, who now increasingly happen to be close to me in my age, I tell them, look, the big issue at your age is not to lose weight. The big issue is don't gain weight. See, because weight is the absolute passport to further complications. So those are the sort of the three main things. I wouldn't like to end my health message without pointing out that Dr. Sandrine Lecoeur, sitting there, has alerted us to the protective effect of various compounds in wine. And I read in the paper that 2 glasses of red wine will protect you from bowel cancer, 2 glasses a day, if you are a rat. So with that message, I'd like to thank you all for your time. I'd like to say it's been a privilege to be with 2 real experts who are currently doing these magnificent and important things for our country. and to have met the Chancellor and his colleagues. Thank you. It's a great privilege. Thank you.